When people talk about the greatest players, the same names always come up: Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You hear them over and over. They are the legends, the icons. But there's a name that often gets lost in the conversation. That name is Tim Duncan. It's strange, isn't it? A player so dominant for so long can somehow become an afterthought. People debate the top 5, the top 10. They argue about who changed the game the most. And too often Tim Duncan is on the outside looking in, a giant of the sport who is somehow forgotten when the lists are made. It's a puzzle that basketball fans still can't quite solve. You see it all the time on television shows and sports websites. Experts will argue for hours about who belongs on basketball's Mount Rushmore. They will bring up flashy passes, high-flying dunks, and players who had a certain kind of charisma that sold sneakers and filled arenas. Duncan never had that flashy style. He wasn't loud, he wasn't looking for the spotlight, he just played basketball. He did his job better than almost anyone in history, but because he was quiet, because he was humble, his greatness is sometimes overlooked. His accomplishments are so immense, yet they seem to whisper instead of shout. It's a peculiar oversight, especially when you consider his position. The power forward spot has seen some incredible talent over the years. Names like Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, and Kevin Garnett come to mind. They were fierce competitors with big personalities. They made headlines on and off the court. Duncan, however, was the opposite. He let his game do all the talking for him. He was known as the big fundamental for a reason. Everything he did was precise, effective, and smart. But fundamentals don't always make for exciting television highlights, and so his legacy has been unfairly minimized in the popular imagination. This tendency to leave him out of the conversation is a disservice to one of the most consistent winners the sport has ever seen. Think about it. 19 seasons with the same team, never missing the playoffs. He was the anchor, the foundation of a dynasty that lasted for nearly 2 decades. How many players can say that? How many stars have brought that level of stability and excellence to one franchise? The answer is very few. Yet, the narrative often favors the more dramatic stories. The players who had roller coaster careers. Duncan's steady brilliance, his quiet dominance, has become a blind spot for many who claim to know the game. Let's talk about what really matters in professional sports: winning championships. At the end of the day, that is the goal for every single player who steps onto the court. Tim Duncan won 5 of them. 5 NBA championships. That is more than almost any other superstar of his era. It's a number that puts him in the company of the absolute greatest to ever play the game. He wasn't just a passenger on these championship teams, he was the driver. He was the Finals MVP for 3 of those titles, proving that when the lights were brightest, he was at his best. He was the undisputed leader of the San Antonio Spurs dynasty. His championship journey is even more impressive when you look at who he had to beat to get there. These weren't easy paths to the title. He faced some of the most iconic players in basketball history and came out on top. In 2003, his Spurs went through a gauntlet, defeating a Lakers team with Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant. In 2007, they swept a young LeBron James in his first NBA Finals appearance. Then in 2014, they got their revenge on LeBron's Miami Heat, a super team built to dominate the league. Duncan was the constant, the steady hand that guided his team through these monumental challenges. Consider the legends he battled in the playoffs year after year. He had to go through Dirk Nowitzki's Mavericks. He fought against Kevin Garnett's Timberwolves. He stood tall against the 7 seconds or less Phoenix Suns led by Steve Nash and Amar'e Stoudemire. He never backed down, he never complained, he just showed up and performed at an elite level. His record against other all-time greats is remarkable. Defeating teams led by Shaq, Kobe, and LeBron isn't just a footnote, it's the headline of his career. It shows that his brand of basketball, built on teamwork and fundamentals, could triumph over any style. The longevity of his success is something we may never see again. The Spurs won championships in 3 different decades with Duncan as their centerpiece. That level of sustained excellence is almost unheard of. In 1999, he was a young star leading his team to its first ever title. In 2014, he was the veteran leader, still playing a crucial role 15 years later. This wasn't a player who had a few great years. This was a player who was great for his entire career. His resume isn't just impressive, it's a testament to his incredible skill, dedication, and will to win. 5 rings should end any debate. So what made Tim Duncan so special? It wasn't about gravity-defying dunks or flashy dribble moves. His game was built on something much more timeless: fundamentals. He was a master of the basics. His footwork in the post was like a textbook. He could score with either hand using a variety of hook shots and fadeaways. His signature move was the bank shot, a simple, effective shot that you rarely see from today's big men. He didn't need to be the most athletic player on the floor because he was almost always the smartest. He knew where to be, when to move, and how to exploit any weakness in the defense. His impact went far beyond scoring. Duncan was one of the greatest defensive players of all time. He was an elite rim protector, altering shots without always needing to block them. His positioning was perfect. He understood angles better than anyone. For 15 seasons he was named to one of the NBA All-Defensive teams, a record he shares with very few. He was the anchor of the Spurs defense, a system that was consistently one of the best in the league. He communicated, he rotated, and he did all the little things that don't show up in a box score but lead directly to winning basketball games. What truly set him apart was his selflessness. In an era of superstars who wanted the ball in their hands on every possession, Duncan was happy to be part of a system. He trusted his teammates, he made the right pass, he set solid screens to get others open. As he got older, he willingly took on a smaller role to help the team succeed. He accepted less money so the Spurs could sign other key players. He put the team's success above his own personal statistics or glory. That kind of humility is incredibly rare for a player of his stature, and it was the secret ingredient to the Spurs' long-running dynasty. This unselfish, team-first attitude was contagious. It became the culture of the San Antonio Spurs. Players like Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili, who became stars in their own right, learned from his example. They understood that winning was a collective effort. Coach Greg Popovich could build his entire philosophy around Duncan's quiet leadership. Timmy didn't need to give fiery speeches. He led by example, by showing up to practice early, by working hard every single day, and by always putting the team first. His style wasn't just about fundamentals on the court, it was about the fundamental principle of teamwork. In the end, how we remember a player says a lot about what we value in the sport. If we only value highlights and loud personalities, then Tim Duncan might get lost. But if we value winning, consistency, and greatness over a long period, then he has to be at the very top of the list. His career is a powerful argument for substance over style. He proved that you don't need to be the flashiest player to be the best, you just need to be the most effective. And for nearly 2 decades, no power forward was more effective than Tim Duncan. He is the standard by which all others at his position should be measured. It's time to correct the narrative. It's time to give him the credit he has earned. When we talk about the greatest power forwards, his name should not just be in the conversation, it should start the conversation. His 5 championships, 3 finals MVPs, and 2 regular season MVPs tell an undeniable story. He was a winner, a leader, and a model of consistency. He wasn't just a great player on a great team, he was the reason the team was great. The San Antonio Spurs dynasty does not exist without him. It's that simple. He was the franchise. His quiet nature should be seen as a strength, not a weakness. In a league full of egos, he was a calming presence. He was the eye of the storm. He never got too high after a win or too low after a loss. That steady demeanor is what allowed him to perform at such a high level for so long. He was the ultimate professional, a player who embodied the values of hard work, humility, and dedication. These qualities may not make for exciting talk show segments, but they are the very foundation of what it takes to build a winning legacy in any sport. His character was as strong as his game. So the next time you hear a debate about the all-time greats, don't let Tim Duncan's name be forgotten. Remember the 5 rings, remember the victories over other legends, remember the quiet, fundamental dominance that lasted for 19 seasons. He is more than just one of the best power forwards. He is one of the greatest basketball players to ever live. His career wasn't just great, it was historically significant. Tim Duncan deserves more than just a mention. He deserves our utmost respect and a permanent place among the giants of the game.